Claudia approached us and wanted to kind of talk to you guys about what he has learned. That it's not what's taught at Rice Smart, but stuff that you kind of just learn along the way. And so he just want to kind of share his experiences and kind of open up a discussion and kind of just educate people. So,
all right, awesome. Thanks, guys. Get things going here. Actually, move this stuff around last night. So, first and foremost, just make sure that we all know why we are here and people that we can thank for that. Improving was my employer who allowed us to use this facility and got us free food and free drinks and all that kind of stuff. Everything free of charge. They always encourage us employees to do this kind of initiative. Bring people in and just do the thing that we love the most. So that's pretty cool. Of course, the folks at Ride Smart. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, that's with them I started my track days. That's the experience that I have today is riding with Ride Smart, and it's always been awesome. And I've kept talking with those guys like their instructors, Dave, who's the owner. They're just such an awesome organization. I also thank them. Hard Photography. Blair is the guy who usually at the Ride Smart track days, he makes the professional, badass looking photos. And since I'm going to be using some of my own photos there and some photos that he took of people there in here, I want to make sure that everybody knows about that. Of course, TXSR, some people pronounce Tixer, others TXSR. Is there like an official way to say it?
Tixer.
Tixer?
Yeah.
It's just short. Also Moto Houston. The two groups, I mean, when I first started, February or January last year with this whole track day thing, those were the two groups I found doing my research, and then I posted questions there, and I found real useful, friendly responses from both groups. So that's where I've been promoting this meetups as well. This is another thing that I found online, Life at Lean, which is another great resource with a lot of information about writing, everything related to writing. So there's blog posts, videos. They have a members only thing that I also pay their membership because I've been getting a lot of value out of that, and I can talk more about that later. And Cycle Gear, because also when I started last year, I didn't even know how to load my bike on the whatever I was going to use to transport my bike, how to lock it inside of whatever. I just didn't know anything. I was green, totally green. And then I went to this Cycle Gear on the south and talked to Gus. Do you guys know Gus there? Badass dude, right? Pretty awesome. Takes the time to explain everything that I didn't know at the time. And I continue going there, and he's always such a nice person. So I want to make sure to mention those guys. As far as myself, my name is Claudio La Sala. If you haven't realized yet, I'm not from around here. I'm originally from Brazil. That's why I'm going to be butchering English words and the language once in a while. But I've been in the U.S. for 16 years, 17 years, something like that. I'm mostly still a beginner, right? I still see myself as a beginner, and I'm going to talk about that. I've been riding street bikes since 1990. When I was 14 years old, I started riding bikes because I have an older brother who's 11 years older than me. So he already had bikes, and I was 14. I was already this tall, so I was able to ride it, and that's when my passion started with that. And then I started with sport bikes in late 2016. So very, recently, I've actually started with that. My first track day was February last year, and then ever since I did 13 track days. So yes. So I did all that because when I came out of that first track day, like the last session of the day, I go back to the canopy there. My wife is there, my kids are there, and I say, this has been one of the most amazing things I've done in my life. There's no stopping this. I'm gonna have to do this as often as I can. Fortunately, my family is very supportive. My wife loves bikes. Whenever we have group rides, I'm usually the one who's like, two up riding because she's always with me because she really enjoys bikes, all sorts of bikes. She's more into cruisers, but she also likes sport bikes. And she said, yeah, go for it as long as you're doing it in a safe manner, right? Because at the end of the day, I am a family guy. I have 3 kids, right? I have a very good job. I have, family in Brazil who still likes me, who still wants me to come back once in a while, right? My older brother, who's also doing track days in Brazil, he's always checking, what are you doing there, man? How are your tires, right? Are you being careful out there? That kind of stuff. So I really care about that. So at that point, I had in my mind, it's like, I'm going to do anything I can to go to the track at least once a month. Because that way, I don't feel that urge in me, which I guess most of us in this room feels, to ride your bike on the street and want to go as fast as you can, right? Because you have what do we guys call it here, a crotch rocket, right? It's like you want to go fast. The thing is screaming and yelling for you to go fast. And then on my researches, I found some people who said, from going to the track every month, when I'm riding on the street, I don't feel that urge because I save everything to the track. That's where I go with that specific focus of riding, ride a good ride, right? So I said, I'll do that. I've just recently moved to level 2, so there are 3 levels. We're going to be talking about that. I've spent all year last year, and my plans were to be there all year in level 1 through the end of the year. But then there was one guy there who said, nah, you were doing well. Yeah, you were running, riding level 2 pace. It took me 3 track days to actually feel like I didn't go up 1 level until I actually felt. And I wrote it on my notes. Coming out of one of the sessions in level 2, I said to myself, I wrote it, it's like, it's for the first time, it has been that I actually felt like I'm going faster and safer. I feel safe if I go up and I have people, riding faster than the guys in this group. Until I felt that way, I was like, hell no, I'm not going up, right? Because that's the kind of mentality that I have. So there's a lot going on as far as, how did I get so passionate about it? How did I get to, after 13 track days, safe and sound every single time, I'm yet to miss or to sit out 1 session because I'm tired, because I'm completely unfocused, because I'm feeling that I'm going to be doing stupid things on the track. I'm always relaxed. I'm always fit for the thing, even though I'm not like a guy who, walks or wakes up every day to go work out and stuff. Nah, I'm pretty much sedentary for the most part, right? But still, I'm at the track, I'm doing my thing, and I'm doing it safe. Haven't crashed once, and I hope it stays like that, right? I hate the idea of getting hurt. I know that people say when you're riding a bike, it's not a matter of, if you're going to crash, it's just when, right? Because we know it's the nature of the thing. But I'm doing everything I can to do it always in a safe manner. Never once I've hit that panic button when I was at the track. Never once. And I'm like, that's good. I want to stay like that. I don't want to get too cocky to think, oh yeah, I can go a lot faster. No, I can't. Right? Take your time and figure out that way. So about these meetings, what these meetings are not about is to teach you to ride faster. We're not going to be talking about here, as far as I'm concerned, about, okay, this is how you go fast at the track. No. We're not going to be doing that here. We're not going to be here teaching you riding techniques. That's not the purpose of these meetings. We are not going to be doing what Ride Smart does best, right? Because we have awesome instructors there who have been doing this for so many years, who have been teaching so many of us for many years. We're not here to take their stuff away. The idea here is to essentially talk about, how do you get ready for track days? Because back last year when I bought a bike, I didn't know anybody who was doing track days. I was like, okay, I want to go to the track. How do I do? Right? I found Moto Houston. I found Fixer. I found a bunch of information online. I've compiled a long list of my questions, my concerns, my doubts, everything, right? And I've learned how to get ready so much so that the first track day when I got there, I met one of the organizers of Fixer, and he said, wow, man, you've done all your homework. you were more than ready to hit the track. It's like the first time I've seen anybody come this prepared, first time to a track day. You got it all nailed. Like, seriously, because I'm like, I don't know if I can do this, right? This is real. This shit is real. And I saw the track. It's like, can I actually do that? I don't know, right? So I want to talk and share about those experiences. I want to share learning tips and experiences. So what do I do to learn, right? Because that's not what I do for a living. I don't write for a living. That's what I do as a hobby. So how can I improve my experience learning so that when I get to the track, I'm actually focused at that thing, right? Because once you get addicted to that, you want to do as much as you can. And of course, you cannot afford being on the track every day. So when I'm not at the track, how close to that experience can I get so that, I'm still learning? I still feel like, okay, mentally, I'm getting a lot better as a rider, right? Because I'm getting my mindset where it has to be so that when I get to the track, I'm focused on that thing. I know exactly what I'm going to be doing there, right? Because I've been preparing my mind for it, as opposed to just, telling your friends and bragging about, oh yeah, now I go to the track and blah, 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 but you don't get ready for it. And then you go there, it's like, oh shit, I don't know what to do now, other than just ride around at the track. Learning on and off the track, right, like I was just mentioning, and enhancing your track day experience. I always feel like I get a lot out of my track days because I do all this preparation, right? And I get there and I have a bunch of routines and rituals that I go through, and how I take notes of stuff, how I plan out things, how I work with the instructors to make sure that I'm actually making progress every time. Because if I come out of a track day and I don't feel like I've improved in some area, and we're not talking like lap times, like talking about feeling more comfortable turning, making turn 11 at Coda or whatever, right? I have to feel like if there's one thing I've learned or I've improved on this weekend, it was this one thing. Maybe it was my left foot position that tends to be different than the right one and it messes me up. Anything. I have to, put a finger on it. All right, so the agenda. I broke this into 3 spots. As I keep saying, as I keep telling people, from everything I do, my regular job is I'm a software developer, right? So I build software, and I do consulting, I do training on getting people more productive in doing software and that kind of stuff. And I can relate that experience to bike riding the same way, because I've learned a while ago that you are not going to be a beginner forever. There's going to be a time when you gain so much experience that you forget what it was like not knowing certain things. And then somebody comes to you for advice, and you cannot give that person good advice because you've been so detached from being a beginner that you already take some things for granted, right? And I try to sit always in between. It doesn't matter how much I learn about whatever, I try to stay close to the beginner so that I don't forget what it was like, right? To not know, and I can bring more people over to, the things that I love, right? Either software development or bike riding and stuff like that. So that's why I would like to always stay in this in-between, helping bridge this gap between the real experienced guys and the guys who are just getting into it fresh, not knowing what to do. That's my idea for this thing. So I've broken this up into 3 areas. First area, a quick intro, right, to track days. And again, that's going to be my experience with RideSmart, because that's the experience I've gathered so far. I haven't ridden with other riding schools, so I don't know how it is out there. Questions that I had when I started were, how are these track days? I mean, how does it work? Because talking to my brother in Brazil, the way that they do track days most of the time is it's really what it's called open track days, right? You just pay a fee, you go with your bike there, and you keep riding around, right? No assistance, no splitting groups based on their levels, so that gets pretty nasty. No nothing, essentially. No instructors to help you out with certain things. And I said, well, if that's how it is, I'm not sure I'm gonna feel safe doing this kind of stuff, right? So then, of course, that question is it safe, right? Because there you're gonna be going really fast, and other people are gonna be probably going faster than you. Is that safer than going on the street? Questions I had: what gear do I need? right? Do I need some special ladders, 1-piece, 2-piece? Didn't know any of that. Do I get to ride my own bike, or do I need to use the riding school's bike? Things I didn't know. And then once I figured, okay, the first track I'm going to be going to is MSR Houston. How is it? What does it look like? Is there a place where my family can go because they want to support me? They want to be with me? Is there a place for them to, hang out there, that kind of stuff? I didn't know, right? So I had to find the answers to that. I'll go with some tips for the first timers, right? Those that are thinking about going to the track for the very first time. So out of you guys who said you haven't been to the track yet, how many of you are actually planning on going to the track? 1, 2, 3. Excellent. Again, I still remember so vividly what it was for me, like a month in advance preparing for my first track day, and how it felt on the day and afterwards. I want to still feel that. I don't want to ever lose that sensation because it's too awesome to forget it. So the preparation, how did I prepare for that? How do I prepare for it nowadays? But at this point, I'm going to focus most specifically for the first one. What did I do at the very first one? The do's and don'ts, right? The things that you should do, the things that you should not do. What to focus on? What should you have in your head, in your mind, when you're getting ready for that? And at the end of the day, how to have a great time, right? You want to get to the end of the day safe and sound, bringing your bike and yourself back in one piece, and you want to come out of it thinking, I need to do this more often, every month if possible, right? And then I would like to share some tips for the non-first timers, the ones who have been there maybe 2 or 3 times, maybe a little more than that, but are not still comfortable with, how can I actually get better, right? How can I improve when I'm not at the track? What kind of information, resources can I use to get better at doing this thing? So learning on and off track, and some track day rituals and things that I've been following that have been useful for me. All right, so an intro. Among many things that I did back in January last year, when I found out about, track days in Houston specifically, I don't remember through which channel I found out about RideSmart. I got to their website, and someplace there I found there's a video for first timers. It's a 10-minute long video, and I don't want to recreate that here. I'll leave that as an exercise for you guys to go back home and watch that video, because that's perfect. It's exactly all the steps that you need to know, in a summary fashion where okay, you have registration, tech inspect, blah, 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 blah. So make sure that you watch that video, right? I got a lot out of that. I've watched it like 3 or 4 times. I took notes, created a checklist out of what I saw, and that was perfect. So make sure you do that as well. But there are things that I didn't see in that video that I figured out on my own, or somebody else told me, and I've added to my set of things that I look for when I'm preparing for track days. And we're going to be talking about each one of those, right? So that's just to show you like a little bit of the video, what it looks like. It's just under 10 minutes. There's a friendly instructor there that talks about the things you should be getting ready for, all those bullet points from the moment that you arrive at the track, loading, unloading, getting the bike ready for tech inspection, how it works for registration, that kind of stuff. So it's all there. So you've watched that video, and then you figured, you know what? I do actually want to register for a track day and do this thing, right? So you go to the RideSmart website. Up there at the top, you have the calendar for the year of everything that we know at that one point that we're going to have. You click register, right? And then you're going to be presented with a list with the prices based. Actually, it's the same price for all levels, but there are 3 levels. And you think, okay, level 1, 2, 3. And then like when I got there, I was like, yeah, I've been riding street bikes for 25 years. I'm level 3, right? Of course, right? Of course not, right? Because it's so different, right? That was another thing that it got me. It's like, okay, I've been doing this for 25 years. How hard could that be? The famous last words, right? And of course, when I got to the track, I was like, well, yeah, this is very different, right? This is very different from riding on the street. So when you sign up, if you've never done a track day with Ride Smart, you should default to level 1, right? If you are a badass, right, then you're gonna get promoted. Because if you sign up for another level and you haven't ridden with Ride Smart, what's gonna happen is an instructor is gonna pull you aside and give you a little test to make sure that you are worth that level. And then if you do well at that test, it's something like this, right? Then they will keep you on that level. Otherwise, you're gonna get kicked. And I'm sorry, it's a move there, right? How well would you do on that test? That was just some stupid thing I wanted to throw there. The idea being that if you are really a skilled rider and you are much better or much more skilled than the guys in level 1, an instructor will see that, right? You talk to the instructor will ride behind you and will bump you up. So anyways, you did your registration, your sign up at the website, you get ready, and we're going to talk about getting ready, but on the day when you get there for the track day, you're going to go through the process of registration, where you get there, you just sign in. They're going to give you a little level sticker that you're going to put on your bike like that. I did it like this like 2 or 3 times until I realized it's so hard to get this thing off of my bike. And then I found a different way to do that, and I will show you. And I had to share that because, man, getting that thing out of your bike, it sucks.
That is an important thing to know, yes.
Right, but it is something really important because you want to make sure that you have that thing in there so that the track marshals are not going to let you out in the track with the wrong group, right? Because if you're on level 1 and you go out with level 3, holy crap, you're going to get, it's like, what? Wait, what? Right? It is.
You're going to realize you're in the wrong spot real quick.
Yeah, right? And once in a while it happens, right? Somebody just, slips in because of, you misheard the announcements. Right, so we do that, and then we do go with the bike through tech inspection. It's important that you take your bike and your helmet, right? Because both are the things that are going to be inspected. I just got asked by Yuri, and I said, well, we're going to have a guy who's going to know how to answer. Maybe if you want to have like a word or two to say, what kind of stuff do you guys look for when you're doing the test?
Sure. When now?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Well, a lot of people ask when they do tech, because I used to be a track rider before I did this, but sometimes people would tape up their lights, and they don't only tape up one light, because a lot of times these bikes only come with one light on, the other light isn't on. So I came one time as a rider and only pasted it for the one that has the light, because obviously I'm thinking, hey, you didn't tape up your lights because you don't want it to shine, but in actuality, the reason why we tape bikes up is because, God forbid, something happened and you guys fall, and the tape helps the glass and the plastic from shattering. So it doesn't matter if you unplug your lights or not, you need to tape up the plastics. Now, the plastics meaning the front and the rear and the side, not really like the side markers. Obviously, the windscreen's plastic, not that stuff. But, oh, I know. We're not as strict about that. And also, what we look at is I always start from the right grip. Make sure this needs to pop. Sometimes when you guys lasso the bike onto the truck, whatever you're pulling, just be wary that if you leave it on there long enough and you have it on the throttle, you let it go, the throttle tends to not snap back like normal. And if you take it to tech, that could be a problem. So just be aware of that. A lot of times people find
on the track, I think.
Yeah, well, for the most part, it's fine. When you go on the track, it'll snap back. But some of the tech guys, they're a lot more strict than I am, and they won't pass it. So I know that because I've done it before. It'll snap back, but there are some that mechanically don't snap back, and we had a really bad accident with that happen before. So I check that. I check the front brake, make sure that it stops. Always check the tires, make sure that we don't have the baldness is not as big of a deal as much as if we see red. That's the always have metal thread inside the tires, the radial. And I check the pegs, make sure that there's not dangling. You'd be surprised at how often the one dangles and just have to be tightened just a little bit. What else? I always check the what do you call oil? The oil cap, oil plug. The oil plug, believe many times I've gone like this and I moved it just a little bit because as the bike vibrates, you know, and if you don't have it tight, it will come off. And if you spill oil on the track, it will not be a good day for you. Yeah. Dave, Rice Mart, it's not like that. So because you ruin other people's day, and everybody has to sit out. They've got to clean the track, and when they clean the track, you know, it's never going to be 100% like it used to be. So check that. I usually tell the people that are on the bike, especially if that bike like right there, and say, hey, since it doesn't have a fairing, you have the advantage. You know, put your hand under there and make sure that the oil cap, the oil filter is actually on. Because you'd be surprised at that too. That's probably the number one thing. For some reason, it tends to leak.
So you don't have to wire fire?
No, we're not that strict. There are some organizations that do that. We're not as strict because we understand that. I mean,
Those are street bikes. You know, you're not gonna,
Yeah.
If it was racing, you know, then that's another.
yeah. Racers usually they already have it. Mine's a race bike, but I honestly don't have
No,
it.
I've never seen one straight off ever.
And then I go to the back and I make sure that the rear is taped up, not just unplugged. And then of course on the left side I check the foot peg on the left and the shifter. Because the lever is always for some reason the lever always is wiggly on some people's bikes. And I check the chain. I always put my foot underneath to make sure because this people don't know this, but a lot of times people make the chain too tight, and on the track it's an issue because you're braking, you're accelerating, you're accelerating, and there's a lot of stress on the chain, a lot more than when you're on the street, and that causes the chain to snap. So we don't want that. So I mean, we don't want to lose, but we just don't want it like super tight because we had that issue. We had one guy come in and he just changed the rear tire. When you change the rear tire, you mount it and you extend the tire, and he had to ask the guy to extend it to make it really tight, but he just didn't think that we weren't going to pass it, so we didn't pass it. But he went back, and it's real easy to and you've got all these people that are going to be able to help you, and they'll say, hey, you know what, it's too tight, is there anything you can do? Anybody will. Just bring it on back.
Yeah, so then you do that, you take your bike back, whatever your setup. Why did I put? Oh yeah, and then you get a little tag sticker in there because if you don't have that little round sticker there, the marshal's not gonna let you in the track, right? Stuff like that. Another thing that it was a huge question for me, and I remember bugging Randy about it, regarding bike camps, right? Can I have them? Is there any restriction? How does that work? And then the two things I heard was it has to be tethered, right? What was that?
Safety wire. Yeah.
Safety wire, right? It has to be attached to your bike somehow. So I usually set mine with this one. I set one right there, and I started putting on the tank as well. But they're all, with wires like that. And if you want to use on the helmet, the last I heard is if it's a Cena, you can because of the way the mount works. The other ones, GoPros, I don't think.
Yeah, they don't want to mount be a sticky.
Gotcha.
But you can stick it to a bike?
Yeah, but like he said, with the bike, we want you to tether it either with a safety wire or something.
Then you can use like free inspection and the bike.
Right, because if it comes off, then it's still tethered to the bike.
Right.
What is that tether that you have there?
That was? Oh, it's
No,
this.
the tether, because it doesn't look like a safety wire.
Oh, this, man, I got it on the internet, and I get it on Amazon. The big one that it comes like with the terminal so that you can cut it the way you want and then make it just the right length. I can look up, whatever I got it on Amazon. And then the other thing that actually Randy said about like having it on your helmet is if it is a Cena one, you can use it, but it's not recommended because if you fall, and that camera is there, the helmet's not going to do what it's designed to do, right? So I started avoiding wearing it. I used to, I'm always switching. That's already like skipping ahead a little bit, what do I use my camera for? It's not just like, to post it on YouTube as soon as I get back home to show everybody else how cool I am, and then I never actually watch the video. That's not my purpose. I go through every single video lap by lap, and I analyze as much as I can to see how I can learn from that. And having the one on the helmet allows me to see where I'm looking depending on where I am on the track. Am I looking ahead? Am I looking down? Right? That's what I was using it for. But, with Randy's suggestion, unless I'm like in level 1 going, slow pace, or I know it's very safe the way I'm going, I'm just not using it there anymore. Right? For that reason. Track drive. It only happens at MSR in Houston or in Crescent. And what that is you get on the trucks, right? And then you go for a ride around the track. There's always an instructor. We're going to be stopping at every single corner, and the instructor will talk about, okay, this is corner X, right? And then it's, the camber is off camber, whatever. And then you're going to be coming this way, headed that way. You hug the corner here. You do. Pay attention, a lot of attention, because they're going to tell you exactly what you should be doing when you're going fast. And that's the best time to slow your thinking down, grasp those words, and try to memorize those things. At that point, when we went out on the track like that, that's when I felt the butterflies. I was sitting there on the track, I was like, holy crap, I'm doing this. That's scary, dude. It's like, can I actually do this? Man, it's a track. Am I going to be able to do this? That was the one moment where I felt like, shit, I don't know. It's like, the hell, right? Let's do this, right? Because then, on the truck where I was at, there were 2 level 3 guys, and they were just so laid back. Like, dude, just chill, right? And giving me I was like, okay, asking questions and paying attention, and these guys were like just giving me the things that I needed to hear at that point. Where when you said, a lot of information, is it overwhelming? Because I had prepared beforehand, a lot of the information I had already sunk in. So I could be focused there. And then because I had people who were also chill, it's like, okay, just focus on this one thing, man, and this other thing. Because one question that I asked just getting there was, man, what would be an okay lap time for a first timer to be on the track? Because in my head it was like, how do I know if I'm being so slow that I'm going to get kicked out of the track, right? That was my main thing. And his answer was like, dude, just don't worry. Just get your bike right around there and have fun. Don't worry, right? If you're going too slow, people faster than you, they will find ways around you. Don't worry. So just stay on the line, learn the line, stay on it. That's it, right? So that information overwhelming thing, it doesn't happen if you do some preparation beforehand, right? And let me tell you what was the one thing I didn't prepare for. I didn't do my job well. I didn't get familiar with the track map in the sense of learning the name of the turns, because when I got to the classroom and the instructor started referring to the turns by their names, I was like, what the hell is Diamond Edge? What the hell is the launch? And they were talking like, oh yeah, of course it's the launch. What the hell's the launch, right? And that, it took me all day to get familiar with that. And it was driving me nuts because I was like, okay, I'm trying to figure out the technical part of things. But by the time I realized, okay, it's that turn, whatever, all the explanation lost. I got completely overwhelmed with that thing. Because also, seeing the track like this is one thing. Seeing it when you're there is a whole different perspective. There were times at the track that first day, there was like, I want my GPS. I don't know if I'm going right or left after this. I have no idea. So that was the one thing I should have prepared for. I should have watched more YouTube videos from other riders with a good line and just keep watching. And then after that, I got a lot better. Then I nailed it, right? Because then I started doing what? Get this, get the name of the turns or the number of the turns, however they use it, get the videos, and then start making snapshots of whenever some other dude on his video is making this turn, I stop, I take a screenshot, and then I grab this, and it's like, okay, it's this thing here. That's what you see. there is a tower there. There is some, there is a candy stripe here. You start like memorizing things from the way you're going to be seeing on the track, which is different than when the instructors are in classroom. You're seeing this and some footage from other riders. So you start crossing these two informations. That was the one part I failed on my first track day, because the first day or 2/3 into the day, I was lost in the track. I was so busy with so many things going on that I couldn't find my place in the track. I was always like, okay, it's not a left turn, it's a right turn, stupid. Gah! And then ever since, I got a lot better after that. Riders meeting, that's the next thing we do. It's mandatory, right? You have to go there. Dave, and this is not a good picture because you cannot see Dave back there. He's going to gather all the pilots. You have to be there because he's going to run down things like, what are the track conditions today, right? What's the moisture? I mean, do we have grip on the track? Is it, has it been cold? Is it wet? Whatever. He's going to talk about those things. He's going to talk about safety, which is to me, it's the single most important thing about this, safety, right? So one of the main reasons why I insist on doing this is because from seeing how RideSmart handles their events, how serious they are about safety and, having policies to make sure, they do their best to keep us all safe out there, that's why I decided on going back, right? Talking to these guys, talking to the instructors, talking to Dave, I see that they're honest about that. They're very true to being safe. So, and Dave talks about those policies there. What are the rules? What are the policies that you have to be following? He's going to say where the classrooms are, because you're going to be there. It's like, okay, I'm in level 1. Where should I go? Right? So there's level 1 here, level 2 there, level 3, just go and have fun. Right? There's a lot of that. He's going to be talking about those. He's going to be talking about the vendors that are always there. Like if you need work on your suspension, maybe you haven't had suspension work done on your bike and you don't know how to do, or you don't know anybody to do. There's somebody there that can help you with that. If you need tires or help with figuring out the tire pressure for whatever model you have based on your bike and all that. If you want to have like photos, professional taking photos of you there being awesome, Dave's going to be talking about those things there. In classroom, so we do that mandatory meeting there, we go to the classroom. So there is, if you are in level 1, there is a separation. There is the level 1 first timer, the one who has never been to the track with RideSmart, and then there is 1.5, right? 1.5, which is you're still in level 1, but you've seen the very first content. So now you're going with this other group of instructors to work on different aspects of your riding. And as far as like sharing the track, regardless as to whether you're in 1 or 1.5, we go to the track at the same time. So one question that I had back then was, should I suit up now? I mean, do I go to class already suited up? I mean, how does that work, right? Somebody tell me, please. I think my first track day, I did suit up before the first class, because I was just like, okay, I don't want to get off class, go running to suit up, and then forget this one thing, forget that other thing. I'd rather just be prepared for it, right? I think my personal belief is that if you're in level 1, it's your first time ever, just suit up, take the time to feel comfortable in your gear and everything, and then you go to class, do your thing, it's all good. In 1.5, I figured that usually the first class time is like a quick one. It's just a review of what the flags mean and those kind of things. So we usually have quite a bit of time between like class time and the first round robin session, which gives you enough time to go suit up, do all the other things, right? Pay attention to everything here, right? All the rules, all the flags and stuff, because if you violate some rule, what's going to happen is they're going to, raise a flag for you, right? A black flag pointed at you, which means that you have to go talk to a track marshal because there's something wrong, either with your bike or with your riding, something that you do wrong. And then you don't want to be that guy because they're going to stop the session, right, while you're doing that. And then you're going to be talking to the track marshal, right? And then maybe Blair's going to be there to make a nice little, snap a nice picture of you. This was me being that guy this one day. This was MSRC 1.3, which is the small track there. And that was one session that right before going to the session, I got a phone call or something that it got me distracted, right? It was some like personal dilemma that came into my life right before I went to the track, and I didn't think it would get me unfocused. So I go to the track and I'm doing my thing. It's all good. There was one point where I realized it's like, man, it looks like I'm by myself on the track. I don't see other bikes. And I just continue doing my thing. Later, I saw some guy with a black flag, and I'm like, what the heck? And then the track marshal, right? Dude, what were you doing? Like, what? You didn't see the checkered flag? All right, I just didn't see it, right? That one thing, and then later I went to check my videos, and sure enough, there was a checkered flag. I mean, it was kind of hard. That one day at the 1.3, it was kind of hard to see, the what do we call the corner workers, right? It was kind of hard to see in the track. But then watching the videos, like, yes, the guy was there. I went past the pit in, took another lap. Gah, right? Apologized, and you don't want to be that guy, because what happens is you are holding up everybody else from the next group who wants to get on the track. Fortunately, it was Crescent 1.3, which is a shorter track, so it didn't take me too long to turn a lap. If it was at Coda, right, at my level, it takes me like 3 minutes to go around the track. It would piss off everybody else, right? So pay attention, try to be focused so that you're not that guy. It's not. The guys are pretty nice, right? They talk to you very politely and everything, but you don't want to be that guy. Oops. Or girl. That's right. Round robin, the line. Pay attention to the line. That's the most important thing about round robin, right? So round robin is the very first session you go, everybody follows the instructor, and we take turns into, as far as who's actually following the instructor directly. We go at a slower pace to pay attention and learn the line. Look for those big X's. When you're riding, they look like this big, but I heard that Clint actually goes like this when he's making the X's. They're pretty big, but as you're going fast, they look like this small on a track. So make sure you look for them right as you're going through round robin. And what I did here was to add myself going on round robin. You see instructor signals. This guy pulls over to the side, right? Because what happens, and this, I have to bring this up because it always happens. When the instructor is up front, he goes like this. The guy who's behind him is supposed to pull over to the side, fall back to the end of the line, and then rejoin the line. Some riders take that as a signal to go blast passing by me like you're Valentino Rossi. It happens. And it sucks, right? Because now everybody else is like, okay, is that what am I supposed to do when it's my turn? It gets everybody confused. And it happens. Even though the instructors say in class before going to the track, guys, when I go like this, you go to the back. It's not a sign to go by me, right? There's nobody going by the instructor at that point in time, right? So please pay attention to that because it sure happens at every track day.
There's two other things.
Right, so pay attention when the instructors are explaining how round robin is supposed to go. So you go try to follow the instructor as closely as possible, but of course in a safe manner. You look for the X's, right? So the instructor is connecting the X's. Make sure you know where those are, right? And you don't do the way I did the first time. And this was not my first time. I couldn't find the footage from my first time. This was from back in October when we were there, right? So there's X. You look for those. You're gonna go for MSRH. Maybe we turn like 6 laps or something like that around the track within that 20-minute time that we have. Right? Pay attention. It's a good time since you're going slow to figure out where the X's are and maybe identify some reference points on the track. Right? So don't look just down. Right? Look up and see the scenery. see things to look for. Maybe a tower, maybe, like this thing here that you have to come to the left, join this guy to then go there, right? Whatever is that thing, like towers and things. Look up, see what the track actually looks like. Finding reference markers like that is, you cannot go wrong doing that.
So it's good to just stick to the line. I honestly do
Yes.
the middle of the track most of the time just because, so I don't disturb anybody.
Gotcha. Right, but yeah, pay attention to that. So like, we make one lap. See, I went all the way to the back. It's usually nice if the last guy in the line signals, okay, I'm the last one. Come behind me, right? Otherwise, you just paying attention to it. So that's good. Now here I have some footage of the instructors by camera on my first track day. And I've been like, as I review my videos, I edit them and add some like voiceover with my comments over the thing. Because this, I had to make a video, right? Because it's great seeing the footage from the instructor's camera because the instructor is on the right line. And then so if the instructor is on the right line, what the hell am I doing over there? Right? So it's always good to get, the video from the instructor and go and analyze it. Right? Even though you're going to have the instructor walking you over his notes and everything, go back and rewatch it. Because every time I rewatch it, it's like, okay, all right, there's always something to be learned from that. Okay, so yeah, this was me thinking and then watching this and saying, okay, now I'm pretty good. I'm on the line. I'm on the axis, and then the instructor is way over here, and then I'm way over there. And then eventually I decide, oh yeah, maybe I should come to the left side of the track. Right? Yeah, and when I was there, it's like, I don't know what I was thinking. I was just not getting the line in my head. So, and that was, I think, one session before lunch. So it was my third session at the track. All right, and then lunch break comes around. So I'm not the one that's gonna go after the burgers. No, because even though I do like burgers, it's gonna make me feel shitty the rest of the afternoon. Right? And I'm there to ride my bike. I'm not there to eat burgers. So usually what I do is I bring my own stuff. I have my cooler. I have my very light, snacks and some fruit and cereal bars and things like that. Very light. Very light. It's just for me to get through the day, in a health manner. And then what I do is I sit back there and then hear memories from my first track day ever. I'm sitting there by myself. I don't really know anybody. I'm just taking my time, eating my stuff. During this time, my family had run an errand or whatever. I was relaxing, saving energy, because that was one thing I found on my research. Take your time. Do not overexert yourself, because you want to be there for all sessions. Because what happens is people will go there like maniacs in the morning. They're going to have some heavy lunch. In the afternoon, they're like, I just feel like packing and going home. I have no energy left in me. And I said, that's not going to be one of my mistakes. What's that?
It's all those carbs.
All the carbs. Right? And I said, no, I don't want to feel like that. I want to feel like, we're just taking a longer break. That's how I see lunch break. It's just a longer break. Right? I'm going to relax, save on my energy, but also hang out. Because this day I was sitting there by myself, just, being mindful of my surroundings. And then there was one guy, a very nice gentleman, who pulled me and said, dude, here. He introduced himself, right? He said, I'm this guy, I'm with the Tixer group. We are always hanging out together. What was that?
I took that photo.
You did? Awesome. Right, so the guy pulled me to the group and said, no. And then he introduced every single one person in that group, and, here. And then he grabbed my chair, pulled over to their side of the thing, and it's like, whoa, this is pretty awesome, right? This is the kind of stuff that you want to look for when you're at the track. Look for these groups, right? Us, essentially. We're all there for the same thing, sharing the same passion for something, right? So that's pretty awesome. Throughout the day, work with instructors. I see a bunch of riders that they go out there through RideSmart, but they don't work with instructors. They just go out on their own, do their thing. Not sure if they're improving or not. Work with instructors. Each instructor will have a different colored jersey, right? And they give those away at each classroom session, right? and that way they know who they should follow, right? They will follow you for 1, 2, 3 laps. Depends. Each instructor will work a different way. Some will tell you to pit in whenever they follow you for how many number of tracks. They're gonna give you like on the spot feedback. Turn 1, you are doing it too wide. Do this. The turn 2, you're getting in too hot. Slow down. Turn 3, maybe try whatever else. Work with different guys, right? Another reason why it was good for me when I was using my camera on the helmet was that when the instructor was talking to me like that, my camera would pick up the sound, because at the track, usually I have a hard time just making out all the words. It's very hard for me, right? Again, English not being my first language, sometimes it's like, okay, I need to work a little harder to get the message. Having that, then later I could get on the video and then watch is like, oh, that's what he said? Right, sometimes it was very different from what I actually heard before. But anyways, some will do it this way. Some will tell you, okay, whenever we're back in class, we're going to go over your video and then do a critique. Okay, here and there and here and there, right? Different styles, they are all great. One thing I didn't mention is something that got introduced just a few track days ago, the classroom stickers. Because a bunch of people, even though they were going with RideSmart to the track, which is a riding school, they were not going to class. They were just hanging out in the paddock, going to the track, and then back. Because once in a while, if somebody does something that's like, dude, you shouldn't, be doing something like that, we catch that in class. Sometimes it's on video, and then, not like inflammatory, just we're all there to learn. And then the instructor would say, that thing there, the way you did it, like that pass or whatever, like I did a pretty bad pass once in Crescent, right? And we got that on video, right? We bring that up in class so that next time around, we don't mess it up. But if the guys are just, hanging out at the paddock, like, that's not cool. So now at every class, every session in class, we get a different colored sticker. If you don't have the right color for that session, the track marshal will not allow you in the track, right? On the track. So something to think about. I have never missed or skipped one session, a class session. That's what I'm there for. I'm there to learn. Is it safe? I would personally say yes. Do riders race each other? No. You are there not to race somebody else. You are there to learn, right? You are not there to just increase or make better, turn better lap times or anything like that. You are there to pick specific core, fundamental things of riding, be it trail braking, body position, vision, whatever it is, and you're going to be working on that specific thing, right? So if your goal for that one session is to work on turn 11, you're going to put all your attention into turn 11, make sure that you are paying attention to the things you're going to be practicing, and then the rest of the lap, you're going to just slow down, do your thing, a decent pace, you're going to get past and everything. Oh, I just got past, I'm going to go and, overtake that guy. No.
Sure.
Right? Not like that. And people are paying attention to that, right? The instructors are paying attention to that kind of behavior. They will talk to you. The corner workers are paying attention to that kind of stuff. They will talk to you. Us other riders, if I see somebody doing something like crazy on the track, I'll go talk to those guys and say, man, the heck, that scared the crap out of me. We're not going to have time to go over the full thing here that I had prepared, but it's good because I'm going to save some of that for later. I just want to take a couple more minutes just to go over the tips for the very first timers, and then we should be all set to wrap this thing up. So things, right? Minimal preparation for your bike and yourself, getting to the track, expectations for your first track day ever. So based again on my experience. Bike preparation, right? It's very minimal for your first time, just tape things up, I like removing my mirrors. Some people will just fold them, either way. I just rather get them out of there. My first time ever, I did it all like very poorly done. Like I didn't cut it.
I was going to say that was pretty fun.
Yeah, that was disgusting, right? Got a lot better after that. Now I've, Next step is getting a dedicated track bike. Until I get one, at least I get this part figured out. Because now I have it like with a red tape over this one, and I cut it and I made it like a decal. So at the end of a track day, I can just remove it. I put it in a plastic bag, store it away. Next time around, I just have to slap it right on. Yeah, I got that nailed to a science, dude. Telling you. Yeah. So that because I want to get to the track with this all done. Because I see people going to the track with none of that done. They do that at the track. I don't do that. If there's anything I can do prior to it, I will, because when everything goes wrong, and sometimes it does, like a couple of hours before getting my stuff and heading to Austin, there's something bad that happens with my car. Fortunately, everything else was ready, so I was able to address my issues there. As far as the requirements for your bike and the gear, go to the RideSmart website. There are 2 pages specifically for that. What are the requirements that you should be aware of? When I started this, I went with a full one-piece suit because I knew I was gonna do more of that. I felt it, and even like for street riding, like back road riding, I rather wear my suit. But you can figure on their website what are the requirements. Your preparation. I personally, from the very first track day, I created a checklist because there are so many things you have to remember about your bike, about yourself, about getting to the track, about everything else. I forget. So I rather create a checklist for that. Right? So my track list, like for my first track day, it looked somewhat like this. Well, for instance, for RideSmart, there is like 2 waivers that you have to sign, right? When you go for registration there at the track days, the first thing you do, the waivers are there. You can fill them up, sign them, turn them in. I'd rather just bring that from home. It's something that's going to save me 2 minutes. I don't care. It will save 2 minutes. It's 2 minutes of peace of mind, right? So I just do that beforehand. I want foldable chair, water bottle, cooler with ice, back protection, extra gas, snacks, bananas, sandwiches, whatever. I just listed everything for my very first one. I listed everything I thought I could have. I thought I could need. Keys. Imagine you doing everything right. You get to the bike, you're ready to hit the track. Where are the stupid keys? It's something that I found in one of the articles that I researched, because another guy said it happened to me.
Happened to me.
Oh, no way.
My wife had to come all the way from here to Texas World, drop it off in the morning.
Man, right? So that, I started with a list that looked like this. There's more. Nowadays, my checklist, it still has a lot of that, but I've reorganized things because then it will depend. Will I camp out at the track? Here's a checklist. Is it a track day that's like a weekend track day, Saturday and Sunday, where I'm going to be going there on Friday? Then I have different checklists because there are different things I have to take care of before I go there. And checking the keys, that's like the last thing. It's like you don't leave the house if you don't have the keys to the bike, right? Prepare everything, get everything done in advance. Like I said, now, I start with a bike like this, and then I make it go like this. Like I said, all these things is already prepared. I just remove it, put it on a plastic bag. When I have to prepare, all good. But I do all of that beforehand, right? Like if a track day is on Saturday, on Thursday, I'll get that done. I'm done with that stuff, right? Don't have to worry about any of that. Get familiar with the track map. It's the thing that I said I failed on my first track day. I didn't have the track map memorized. I didn't watch enough videos to know what the track actually looked like when you were there, right? I got a lot better on that. Learn the name of each corner. It really pissed me off being there, hearing the instructors talk about the corners like it was, whatever. And I'm like, dude, I'm not following. I don't know the names. Google, MSRH, track map.
Okay.
It's going to show up something that's like an aerial view from Google Map, and there are others that show the name of the track, the corners. So you do that, watch, there are so many videos on YouTube. Like, go to my channel. My channel is a 3-lap rider, right? That's where I've been posting these videos. Why do I post those videos? Because then I can go back and see my progress. That's one of the main things why I have those videos and I go through them, I go through notes and everything, so I can see what I was doing back then, how I'm progressing my writing, over time.
Why do you call yourself a lap rider?
3-lap rider. It took me a while to come up with that, but just number 3, the idea that at the end of each session, I should think of 3 things that happened. Maybe something that I did well, something that I didn't do so well, something that I should work on. At the end of a track day, I think, okay, what are the 3 things maybe that I learned for this track day? That was like the reasoning behind. Like sticking with like 3 small goals, 3 small realizations of progress. That's where it came from. So you do that and make plans to be rested for the great day, right? Don't, stay up really late the night before. So how do we get to the track? You can always ride there. That was one question I had. Oh, it's, for me, MSRH is what, like 45-minute, distance? You could ride there, but then what about all the other junk that I want to take to the track? The extra gas, my snacks, my everything else. What if I crash? How do I get back home? That would suck. What if I've seen and I've heard of people doing, when you're riding on the road, you have your tires overinflated. And then you get on the track, you forget to adjust that. Not good, right? Because you want to, how do you guys say, deflate the tires, right? You want to go down, lower on the tire pressure. So there could be a lot of problems with you riding the bike to the track. So for me, first track day was, I don't have a truck, I don't have a trailer, so how do I get my bike to the track? I decided to rent a U-Haul, right? And then it's like, okay, now I have the U-Haul, how do I get my bike on it? And how do I make sure that it stays safe in there? So I called Gus at Cycle Gear, and then he explained everything to me. Well, you can get a, what do you guys call it, wheel chock, right, to keep the bike steady there. You get the tie-down kit, right? You get your bike really stable there. You got a little ramp to put the bike on it, right? I was like, okay, I can do all that. Got the stuff, got in there, got my family to help me do all that stuff. I drove the van around the neighborhood just to make sure that my bike was going to stay safe there. I made my kids stay there. It's like, okay, if it moves, you hold it, okay?
Jump under it.
Exactly, right? I did all of that before going to the track, because then when the great day came by, I knew exactly, because I timed how long did it take for us to get the bike on the van and get that all worked out. Yeah, almost like that, right? So I said, okay, everything that can go wrong that I know of, let me practice that beforehand. Because then on the day, that's what I did the first time, right? It worked, but it gets expensive. Overall, it was about $200 with the mileage and all that. That was that for me. But then at that very first track day, I saw this guy with the bike behind his car, and I'm like, that is genius. I want that thing, right? And I saw the car, the size. I'm like, okay, that's something I could have. So that's what I got, right? So for my next track day, I mean, I've been using this ever since. I've been to Crescent 3 times, to Austin 3 times, MSRH and all. It works like a charm. Pretty awesome, right? So that's what worked for me. Expectations for your very first track day. Do your best to learn and keep the line. Just know where you're going and just stay on the line. That's all you should be focusing on. Try to be, smooth. Don't go like, Go smooth, connecting the axes, take your time. Ride your bike and have fun. Oh, but what about lap times and body position and how I'm going to look on the pictures and all that? On the pictures, let's see, I have that in another slide. Let's see, I'm just going to run through those. On the pictures, if you're like me, you're not going to look great. You're going to look like this. That was me on my very first one. When I saw the pictures, like, man, I picture myself like Valentino. And I look terrible on my bike.
64 degrees knees, elbow, right?
Right? Because I saw it, I was like, oh man, that doesn't look great. And then I see like the instructor behind me, his body position and mine. I'm like, dang, that looks horrid. But hey, you know, that's it. That's what I'm there for. I'm there to learn. Eventually, like this is a more recent one. It's like, okay, now body position is getting a lot better and all that, right? And then I start drawing comparisons like my very first track day, the last one at this track in October, which was like 7 track days later. It's like, okay, that looks a lot better. That looks a lot better, right? So that's what I use my photos for, right? It's not to send over to people and say, oh, look how much of a badass I am. I'm not. I use this for my own sake to analyze. I do this, right? Okay, what was I doing here? What am I doing here? Is there anything that I can do better here? Yeah, right? Stuff like that. So for the first time, don't think about any of that. Just think about getting your bike there and riding around the track and having fun. Wrapping this thing up, do everything you can off track so that you can have 100%, focus on what you're doing at the track. So anything you can think of. And if you are unsure, send me an email or get me on the groups and all that, because I have a lot of information that I still saved from my very first track day. So I remember my questions. I know what my questions were. I know the answers I found. So if there's anything else I can share to get you ready for that, by all means. What's next? What we can talk about in the next meeting? Using your video footage to learn, taking notes, which I'm yet to see another rider at the track taking notes. I'm the only one I see doing it. There was this one time I was impressed, and one of the instructors saw me like crazy writing notes, and he was like, finally, a real student, right? I never saw anybody else taking notes during class. Learning the track lines. How do you get to learn the track lines? Improving your focus. How do you get your mind set to actually doing that? So that's what I see coming up in the next meetings. Give us some feedback. I created a link here, and I'm going to post to the groups this link so that you guys can go in there and spend like 5 minutes just giving me some feedback. Did you like this? Don't you like it? Do you have any ideas? How can we make this better? Questions or things that you would like us to talk about in the next meeting? Things like that. And how many of you guys are going to be on MSRH in February 3rd?
My bike's ready.
Ready? All right.
If it's ready.
Awesome. Cool. All right. Good deal. Come join us next month.
Today, they allowed me to give away a free track day.
Yay.
So if
Oh, fun.
you've never been to a Ricemore track day before, you can still get 50 off, or you can use it for that first time. For me, I probably used the 50 off the first time and then used the free track day time. So
Sweet.
Anyways, that's why I got your names in here.
Awesome.
Claudio,
Perfect.
do you want to do the honors of?
Sure thing. All right.
So, Bill, have you been to a Ricemore track day before?
I've never done a track day. I'm very glad I came.
See, you already paid off. Awesome.
I want to say thanks to every one of you guys who have put this program together, because I think this is great stuff. Yeah, you can go on the websites and learn a lot and read and watch videos and everything, but this is even extra above and beyond it. So,
DSR and Claudio.
Sweet.
Kudos, man.
Awesome.
The first one of these I've been to a Ricemore for over 6 years. So
Awesome.
it's great.